in the conversation. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so just 5 more minutes and then we'll jump right into the conversation. But while we're at it, I have a question for our participants or our attendees. Please, what is the theme for this year, the IWD's theme for the year? If you want to respond, please use the chat box. I think you can also use the Q&A question. Use the Q&A tag. Okay, someone wants to respond. Awesome. Sure, please go ahead.
Hello. Good
Hi.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The theme for this year's IWD is challenge, choose to challenge.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Peter. Thank you. And so usually I know that every year there are 2 organizations that come up with different themes. So there's one for IWD, there's another for the UN Women. So who in the audience knows what the theme for the UN Women this year is? And please, if you want to respond, please introduce yourself before you give your response. Thank you. Anybody? You never know, there might be a prize attached to it though. Okay, I have someone. Peter also wants to respond to this. Okay. Do we have any other person before I allow Peter again? The UN Women's theme for this year. No, yes, maybe. We have 2 more minutes to go to respond. Wow. Okay. I'll just give the answer then. Or Peter, do you still want to respond to that? No, okay. Well, the UN theme for this year is women in leadership. Then there's an after clause that has something to do with how we navigated the COVID-19. And so what we're doing here today is talking about a measure of both, choose to challenge as well as how we navigated the COVID-19 world, especially for women in leadership. That's why we have the caliber of women we do on this panel. And so I think we'll just jump right into it. Thank you, Peter, for the response earlier. So my first question would go round, is for everyone here. The theme for this year, which is choose to challenge, right? What does this phrase mean to you when it comes to you and your career?
Okay, you want me to go first?
Yes, please.
All right, so good afternoon and thanks for having me once again. For starters, I would like to celebrate all the beautiful, bold, strong, courageous, extraordinary women on this call this afternoon. Here's wishing you a happy International Women's Day from Investment One Group. So the theme of this year's International Women's Day celebration, Choose to Challenge, actually is both a call and a challenge to women. The theme Choose to Challenge is a challenge to women to be different. I think the theme basically is a call for us as women, is actually a call for individual responsibility. It's a challenge to women to stand up and to stand out in whatever it is that we do. I think this thing, the theme of this year's celebration is a reminder to women to be aspirational. It's a reminder for us to take the limit of ourselves, to take the limit and the lead of whatever it is we think we can ever do or achieve in life. After all, when God created man and woman, he only gave the dominion mandate. He did not place a limit on either. There's a saying also that in life, you must always aim for the moon. Even if you don't reach the moon, you will at least land among the stars. This, I think, is what the theme Choose to Challenge is all about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ayodiji, for that. Thank you so much. Please, Tilewa, do you want to go next?
Okay. So for me, choosing to challenge makes me realize that first there has to be a challenge. So you have to recognize there's something you're pushing and then chart a way to actually push that, which is a limitation, so to say, either in your mind or in the minds of other people, and you act in spite of that. For me personally, I would say maybe because I'm in technology and not so many women are in technology, so it's a challenge, but acting in spite of that requires a lot of courage, especially if you want to move from a sector in which you're or a part in technology where you're so comfortable in to something different. So you have to first of all realize that you're trying to do something that's out of your comfort zone, and then recognize what are the challenges you there, sitting down, acting on it, and first of all planning it. And it will require lots of courage. Courage, I would say, because the way I define courage is acting in spite of fear. Recognizing that yes, there's something to be afraid of failing, afraid that people might put you in a different light or act differently towards you, but recognizing that fear and taking the steps to challenge it and see for yourself where you can actually get. And surprisingly, most of the times when we act courageously, we do surprise ourselves because we get to places that we never thought we would be. But it's important that we act and not just accept our fears, but challenging them and succeeding in spite of.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And then Yobusa, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'll start by saying happy International Women's Day to everyone, every beautiful lady, mother, sister, daughter out there. It's your day. The theme for the year, Choose to Challenge, to me is a call to sisterhood. Is a call to be sensitive to our environment. Is a call to see what we can do differently as individuals and as leaders in whatever industry we find ourselves. Is a call to watch out for those that are less privileged, that are oppressed, that may not be able to speak for themselves. Is a call to take up the cause of another sister and speak up and help them grow and help them succeed in their career aspirations, in life. Help them take their rights. There are sisters around us who can't speak for themselves, who may not even know their rights. It's a call to stand up for another sister. That's what the theme for this year means to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you so much. And I would just like to add, for me as a person, Choose to Challenge, beyond just even looking on the outside, I think it's like a personal call. It's a home call for every single lady. Look within yourself. What are those limits or what are those limitations you're experiencing? What are those things that you believe you cannot go beyond? And then determine or purpose in your heart that you're going to break beyond those limitations and watch that beyond all you had was just fear. And to be honest, fear is just a growling lion with no teeth. It just barks all the time. And so, yes, that's what the theme for this year means to me. And now with regards to helping people, right? And then introspecting and just making sure that we are in shape, so much so that when opportunities present themselves, we come prepared. My next question would be, what gender-specific challenges or stereotypes or barriers have you had to overcome in the course of your career? Tilewa, do you want to go first?
Okay, so personally, I actually do not recognize stereotypes. personally. Okay, so people would say there's a stereotype that there are so very few women in technology, even fewer in information security field. But personally, I really don't recognize stereotypes. I don't, believe that there's anything that says you cannot do it because you are. No, I don't think there's anything like that, because you can do it. You just have to determine that you would be able to do it. So like I mentioned earlier, first of all is to recognize your limitations, really. Limitations in behavior, but then act in a way that would help you to overcome it. Behavior will be recognizing that even though everything is within to the other person, so you have to accept that, okay, if I have to do this, how will that impact what someone else on the receiving end, how will that impact them? And then acting in a way that will make sense to everybody and will benefit everyone in general. If everyone actually asks themselves, how would my behavior impact better place? So that is how I, deal with stereotypes.
Thank you so much for that. So I just want to ask just a question. You've never been in a situation whereby someone just automatically treated you in a certain manner because of a preconceived notion?
To say no, that wouldn't be entirely true. So you could, for example, receive a task, maybe because you're female. Also in technology, you could actually receive a task and you say, oh, the reason why they gave me this thing is because I'm a woman. What I do is not to look at it like that, because it will bring me down, really. I tell myself, the reason why I was given this task is because they know I'm actually good in doing it. So I challenge myself and say, okay, I'm going to prove that I'm very good at it. I'm going to make sure that when I deliver the product, it's an excellent product. And no one is going to say, oh, it's an excellent product because she's a woman. No, it's going to be an excellent product because she's an excellent person. She takes her time to deliver quality work regardless. So even if you're treated with bias, we have to respond. So there are two different ways you can respond. You could respond and be really upset and say, oh, you're treating me bad because I'm a woman. That is one way. Another way is to say, how do I respond in a way that, will wow the other person? And that is how I have actually, walked through my entire career. And I try to give myself, get that label as someone who always delivers. And it's not someone who always delivers because she's a woman, but somebody who always delivers regardless.
Right. Thank you so much for that. Okay, Yobusa, please, would you mind responding to the question? How have you been able to address biases, stereotypes in the course of your career?
I'm in the financial services sector, so for me, my career really so far did not attract such stereotype comments. But in my early days, when I started my career in audit, I recall there were instances when we had to go for stock taking. The males in the team would want to encourage you, oh, it's oil and gas, find a way to change your stock take location, or it's a manufacturing company, you'll be on your feet for several hours, seek for a change. At such times, I always would respond that whatever a man can do, a woman can do better, So for me, such stereotype comments just made me bold and speak out for myself. And there was never an instance where I was assigned a task that I made it look like because I'm female, I can't achieve that. So my response really was always to take the bull by the horn and go for the task and do it with all the stamina I have and at every count, I did a good job of them. So that's been my response.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Ayodiji, do you want to address this as well?
All right. So I'd like to state that in my 15-year career journey as well, I've not particularly encountered gender-specific stereotypes, so to say, but I do know that there are stereotypes really. But I'd like for us to say that, you know, the rise of women is not about the fall of men, neither is the rise of men. Also the fall of, it does not imply the fall of men, you know, so I don't recognize stereotypes anyways, but, you know, there's a case, an example that I'd like to give. I recall a little over 10 years ago that I, for example, went for an interview with a subsidiary of a bank, which is where I work today, you know, and at the final question, at the final stage of the interview was, how many children did you have? Now, I was being interviewed by the MD CEO of this organization, and really the reason for asking the question of how many children I had was because this was January. They were having an interview to fill a space or a vacancy in the organization. Now, the prior year, 10 members of staff got married. So of course, it was expected that in that particular year, a number of people were going to be going on maternity leave. And here was I already had my first son, and I was 3 months pregnant with my second son, and I was at final stage of the interview, you know, but I wasn't showing it. So of course I had to disclose. And I recall being, you know, so at that point, yes, I recall the interviewer said, I like you, I like to work with you. However, I will have to check with your boss and, you know, your line manager, who you're supposed to be reporting to, you know, and right there and then he engaged the person who is also a man. And at the end of the day, before I left the premises, I got confirmation that I was going to be employed. Of course, it felt awkward. First day at work, actually yesterday marked my 10th year anniversary in the organization. You know, first day at work with a full belly, you know, I was now showing 5 months pregnancy. So, you know, it felt awkward even to me. And I could see the glances from everybody like, is it that there are no, even from women, is it that there are no other people to employ, you know? So, you know, you have stereotypes here and there. And while I might not have encountered gender-specific challenges, I know that there are a lot of women who would have or who are facing these stereotypes and these challenges. A case in hand is that of COVID-19, where there was lockdown and women had to, you know, combine working from home with homeschooling, as well as household chores. It was quite challenging, but we had to navigate through it. So my encouragement to women out there is to forge ahead in spite of these stereotypes, because if you keep at it long enough, you will overcome. And when you eventually overcome, you will be an inspiration. You will inspire other women to be all that they possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that insight. I really do appreciate all the responses so far. Welcome to every single person that is joining the panel right now. And I also realized that I did not check the Q&A question box when I asked the questions earlier. People had already responded to the questions. So thank you so much for your responses. I have just gone through them. And if you also have questions to ask the panelists, please feel free to send them in and I'll help you ask them while at it. And so one of the things I'm really grateful for that has recorded in the responses of our panelists so far is that the response to stereotypes or biases is from a place of capacity, not just rebuffing it with like verbal responses. No, it's from a place of capacity. So a way to nudge off or just ward off whatever responses or negativities that negative criticisms that people might bring our way is by building capacity, being more than enough, so much so that when they see the quality of work that a lady does, it's no longer a case of, oh, she did that because she's a woman. It's now a case of, oh, she's that excellent because she's a woman. And so you respect her even more whenever she walks into a room. Thank you so much for that. Now, I think I'd like to take this up or switch this conversation since Adija already brought it up earlier. I was going to bring it up much later in the conversation, but I'll just take it up from here. And see, how do I say this? I have hailed every single mother that I have seen ever since COVID happened, because I have a younger brother who is 10-year-old, and I know how difficult it was having to merge work and helping him out with his assignments and then homeschooling as well. Then I don't even know how that would have been for people who have full-blown careers and also have to manage families as well as their work, if you have, like, I don't know, other social responsibilities that you've taken on. So I would like to go around and ask, how were you able to strike the balance as mother, as staff, as sister, as the so many things that you bear being a woman? Yobusa, do you want to go first?
Yeah, it was difficult. Being a career woman and a mother is a challenge that every career woman and mother would have to juggle, cope with all through their career or working life. During the lockdown, it was particularly difficult, but thankfully I have grown-up children. So everyone had a task. I had to put up structures that will ensure that my work did not suffer. And at the same time, the children's academic did not suffer. So what I did, because I couldn't bring in lesson teachers that period, the older ones became lesson teachers became teachers for the younger ones. My maid had to do a lot more work because everyone was schooling. And I just put structures, and everyone had to be part of the support system. Work was beyond 5 o'clock because during the day, my attention wasn't fully to work anymore. I have a 6-year-old who doesn't understand barriers, who doesn't understand mommy is at work, you know. Many times I have to lock my door because my bedroom had the highest bandwidth reception. So I walked from the bedroom most times. Many times I had to lock the door so that he doesn't come in. Okay, but with him at home meant that I couldn't walk on a stretch 8 to 5. So when I wake up early in the morning, I start by attending to everything I could possibly work on, sometimes 2-3 hours before anyone is awake. And also I worked late into the evening. Yes, good enough, COVID meant that you had no other activity but work. So work was it. So the family also had a better part of me because the traffic in Lagos was off. So I had for the first time the most attention I could possibly give my CCO, because for many years, when I go to work, we couldn't see every day of the week. So there were some days we did not see, but the entire lockdown, stay at home, had more benefits for me than cost, really, because work had more of my time and family also had more of my time. We could also chat at home, even though I'm in the room. So my children need things, they could send me chats and I would respond or come out of the room and attend to them where there were times I had to do that. So the COVID system or the COVID lockdown period perhaps was one of my most productive time in work. It's a shame that it's COVID that brought that situation, but really looking back, I did so much. And also one of my most fulfilling time as a mother to a 6-year-old, because I could see him every day. So yes, it meant a lot more of me being involved, but it was a very productive time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate the honesty in that response. Tilewa, please, do you want to end? Please go next.
Okay, so there's an illustration I heard recently, and a really, really good one. So typically when we go to the market, we see women and they carry a lot of load. Sometimes we see a woman with a load on her head and she's holding 2 bags in her hands. And the question was, what do you think she carried first? The ones on her hand or the ones on her head? the obvious question is that she carried the ones on her head first. She had to balance the one on her head before she could then hold the ones in her hand. And, you know, the illustration then ends that you have to pick the ones that are really important to you, put it on your head, and when you've balanced it, you can then hold the other things that you have to hold and, you know, successfully walk, you know, almost like a model carrying so many loads, which you see in the market. You see these women with loads everywhere, but they carry it gracefully and it doesn't fall. So the thing to do, and the thing I did really, was to prioritize better. So what was really important to me, that was how I started my day. And, you know, it has really helped COVID and everything to really recognize your priorities. What is really, truly important to you as a woman? And you start your day, you know, you have a ton of things to do. You have to go to the market, you have to take care of children, you have to attend to family, you have to attend to work. Oh, in the morning when I wake up, I say, okay, I have all these tasks. What is the most important thing? What is the one thing that demands my attention? And I have to give 70% of my time. And then I structure that and, you know, add the little bits here and there. Obviously, every day I don't end my day accomplishing all the things I plan to do. Right? There's no superwoman here. But at the end of the day, when I'm through, I sit down, I can, you know, feel really happy that, you know, I've accomplished the most important things. And then I put the other bits here and there, and I can sleep with a good conscience, knowing that I had not, you know, I hadn't denied my employer of the time he needs from me. I haven't denied my family of the time they need from me. And haven't denied myself of the time I need for myself, because, you know, during the COVID time, we just realized that if you do so much, you would experience a burnout. So you have to still sit down and relax, take some time to yourself to reassess your mental and emotional state. But by prioritizing properly, that really, really helped me.
Thank you so much for that. I took something out, prioritizing. And finally, Ayodeji, please help us round this off.
All right. So whilst the other discussants had actually addressed balancing all that you have on your plates during the COVID season, out of pre-COVID and post-COVID, well, post-COVID, yeah. So the truth is that, like Yobosa said, the truth is that it can be overwhelming. You know, wearing so many hats as a woman really can be very challenging. But, you know, I'm an economics by training. I studied economics in the university, and I was taught the concept of scarcity, scale of preference, and foregone alternatives. So as a woman, you know, one of the things I realized is that you are not always going to have all the resources of time, energy, and, well, let me add money, you know, to do all that you possibly intend to do. Really, you won't. So what can you do in a situation of scarcity? You then must allocate your resources of time and energy appropriately so that you can achieve the goals that you have set for yourself. Now, there are 4 things that I basically, you know, do, or that I employ. Number 1, prioritize, like Tilewa said. You must prioritize, you must know what things you intend to be involved with. For me, for example, home is important to me. Church ministry is important to me. Work is important to me because I'm passionate about what I do. Investment education is important to me because, yes, I had an experience whilst I was growing up, you know, so that bit is also important to me. So when you prioritize or have a scale of preference, it kind of also helps you to allocate your energy and your time among the things that matters, the things that are important to you. So I don't have as many friends as I would love to do to have. I can't go for as many outings, you know, that I get invitations for. So you must have a scale of preference. And when you have a scale of preference, it does mean that you have to forego certain alternatives. That's number 1. Number 2 is the fact that you must have a support system. So whilst I was growing up, whilst my children were much younger, you know, I usually would have a nanny who works Monday to Friday. But I also realized that, you know, over the weekend, my time was always spent between the market, the kitchen, and church. And before I knew it, Monday morning is here and I'm still so tired. I'm not refreshed to start work, you know, to give my best, so to say, and work. So what did I do? 2 things. Number 1 was to get a weekend help. Number 2 was to also outsource. So for some of us, we might need to sit back, to say, what exactly will work for me? I need a structure, I need a support system. So some of us bring in our moms to help, kind of create a stability. For some of them, mother-in-laws, for some relatives like cousins and all of that. So number one is that you must prioritize, know the things that are important to you. And number two is that you must have a support system. Number three is that you must also build structure amongst your other engagements. So for example, I'm passionate about teaching, talking about investment, financial, coaching people on personal finance. So on Saturdays, for example, I have a WhatsApp platform where for 30 minutes, we meet every 30 minutes, we review a book, a chapter of a book on personal finance. It just takes 30 minutes of my time. But when I'm done, there's this fulfillment that I've given something to someone out there who needs this. And this group has been on for over 3 years. There's that fulfillment. There's something this does to me. Even though this meeting holds for 30 minutes, 12 to 12:30 every Saturday, I have to prepare. So I meet between 90 minutes to 2 hours every Friday night. But then I have prioritized. No matter what comes into my schedule, I know that Friday nights are for preparation for that 30 minutes program. Also, for example, I co-pastor with my husband. Like I said, church is important to me. Faith is important to me. Ministry is important to me. So my husband is also a senior executive in an organization. Aside from that, he pastors the church. I am also a minister in church. So it means that every activity in church must also be taken care of, or rather the structure that we have. This is now talking about structure for other engagements. Also, what happens is that every activity in church, for example, has people who themselves are doing amazingly well in their industry. So they know what it means to be a leader. They know what it means to perform. We have NPR, quarterly reviews. We have annual budget in church. So everything is in place. So you must also get help as far as your other engagements is concerned. And lastly, as far as balancing things is concerned, there's an acronym, YOLO. Some people call this YOLO. It's called You Only Live Once. And really, women must know that they only live once. And as a result of that, you must take care of your physical and mental health. The truth is that you can only give what you have. If you are not okay mentally, you can't even be in the right atmosphere or in the right position to give to your world what you need to give. So I encourage women to eat well, exercise, do something that makes you happy. Go see a movie, go for spa, take care of your mental and your physical health in all of these things, because really it does matter. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so insightful. Key takeouts from this, obviously, the recurring message here is prioritize, put structure in place for whatever aspects of your life that are of priority to you, so much so that it is productive. And then also do not be scared to get help. Build a support system around what you do, because you are the only one you have. You need yourself to get through this period. And so you don't have to bear that burden alone as a woman. And finally, do not forget, you only live life once. Ensure that you take care of your mental health. I think COVID, more than anything, taught us how important the mental health of a person is, and how that, for me, feels like that is like that serves as a major core. I would have called it anchor, but it serves as a core from which people are able to function effectively. And now, I think I'll be asking one more question. But this time around, it will be in light with what Iyobosa mentioned earlier with regards to the theme and what it means to her. She mentioned sisterhood. And so, because one of the things, I think one of the core reasons why there's one of the things that feminism or the whole womanhood and sisterhood thrives on is that women should support other women and not pull each other down, which is one of the reasons why we're celebrating today. And so my question would be, what women in your career so far, at the entry stage, mid stage, and even at the executive level, what women have supported you, inspired you in whatever way? Or maybe men, what person has supported you? And also, this is the other part. In what ways have you also supported or assisted other young people that are coming behind you? So I think I'll just go the other way around. LDG, please.
All right. So I've had various women support me in my career, women as mentors, women as coaches, women as role model, all through my 15-year career. However, a particular mention today is my mom. I'm sure she's on this call, right? Really, who as a mom of 4 and in her 30s, chose to go back to school to get a degree program. Now, because she already had 4 of us and she was already in her 30s, and it wasn't easy, really. I knew it wasn't easy for her then, having to balance home, work, and school. So I was born and raised in a town called Ijebu-Ode in Ogun State. So it meant that Momsi had to come every Saturday all the way from Ijebu-Ode to Unilag in Lagos. And, she would leave early in the morning, come back late in the evening. And I saw some of the things, she had to sacrifice during that period, just to try to balance all of these things together, also I remember that aside from traveling all the way every weekend for classes, one month in every quarter or every half year, it was every half year, she also had to come stay in Lagos, receive lectures, and then do her exams. Long story cut short, she finished, and we even made jest of her that if she doesn't finish on time, I was right behind her. The same year she graduated was the year I got admission. I actually got admission December of the same year. So you can imagine, I was on her trail, so to say. But then she did it, and the moment she was done, her career just went to a whole new level. And at every point in time, I keep saying to myself that really there are no stereotypes. If my mom could do it, with the encouragement and even inspiration I get from other women who have gone ahead. We have the case of Kamala Harris, we have the case of the new WTO, you just want to be inspired, which is why I said one of the lessons from this year's theme, Choose to Challenge, is for women to be aspirational. Take the limits off yourself, take the lead of what you can achieve in life. Aim for the moon. If you don't get or land on the moon, then you will at least reach the star, which is still a much better place to be. So that's the case of my own mom. So in what way also have I gone ahead? Like Yobosa said, it's all about sisterhood, watching out for other sisters. So I have a team. I currently head a team of 5 with 3 women and 2 men. I'm particular about my men, but one thing I started doing some time ago, even up to this year, January, was, and in January every year, I'll send an email to all the ladies in my team, asking them to state their professional development plan, so that I can also be in a better position to encourage them to be all they want to be as far as their career is concerned. So for me, it's a means of encouraging them and giving them support when necessary. So I have 3 members of the team who are women, who are female, and I know one is taking CS, one is taking ICANN, one intends to do ACCA. For crying out loud, I know when those exams are going to hold, and whatever it takes, I'm going to give them the support that they need to do this, to stretch and to be all they possibly can. But I also want to believe that, as women who have gone ahead, we have a duty and a responsibility to uphold the younger generation, to keep encouraging them to go on, to strive to be all they possibly can. And one of the ways we also can do this, you really can't be there for everybody because you have your own baggage, you have different things you're involved with. One of the ways we can achieve this really is by, by striving to be the best in whatever you do. So somebody is looking at your life and they're just inspired. So it's also about, being an inspiration to others by the way you live and the things that you also strive to achieve, because really success is progressive in life and you must keep achieving, as a way of inspiring the younger generation. So that would be it for me.
Thank you so much for that. Yobosa, please help kindly address the questions as well.
It's been a long journey for me. I've had different women support me. Credit to many of them. Like Kayodechi's case, my mother. During my years of childbearing, she was there. My mom will be there 3 months once I get back from the hospital. She's with me. making sure baby is fine, making sure her daughter, myself, it's fine. She wouldn't even let me do my laundry. She would do everything, she, the maid, and ask that I should eat, I should rest. I may feel strong, but I need all the pampering she brings. So for me, when I have daughter-in-laws, when my children start giving birth, how to say. I also want to talk about Amina Uyagbola. Amina Uyagbola was my boss in MTN. As a boss, Amina was very tough. Amina dealt with me, but Amina has been my favorite female boss in all my career years. Amina made me do things outside my career. She's a lawyer. She made me take minutes. I never really liked the literature part of my work, but Amina taught me to love it. Amina runs a program called Whisker, which supports women in career. I've also worked with her as a mentor to support women who volunteer to enlist on the program. So it's a program that runs every year. Along my career path, I have sisters who have been very supportive. We live in different parts of the world, but they are ever there watching out for me. My Old School Girls Association is another very strong support team I've had. Not so much physical contact, but a lot of fun time they brought along the way. And I have friends. I've had many people help when I'm not able to help me. Interestingly, I've had more men help me along my career path than the women. Yes, in my years of career, I've found men. I've worked with more men, and like I said at the start of this discussion, that I didn't quite have challenges working with men. I've had many of them support me. I've changed jobs. Many were because of relationships I had in the past. Some of the jobs I have, places I've worked in, I didn't know there was any such vacancy. I didn't apply. One of my main bosses from the past calls up and says, there's a vacancy here. I think you do a good job. Apply. In short, I have 2 of such references. I didn't know there was any vacancy. So I've had men support me in my career growth. Even coming here, I got the support of Liz. It's been a balanced one for me, though more men when it comes to career support. So looking at what I've also done, I pastor a church, and I'm very particular about ladies because, take it from me, they are still vulnerable. So I run a structure where I speak one-on-one with teenage girls. I want to know what is going on in their lives, what their aspirations are. From the pulpit, I encourage teenagers also to aspire for great things in life and use their energies rightly. So that support system I provide in my local environment to those who come to my church. And in career, like I said, I worked with Amina Uyagbola, providing support for young professionals. Of course, I have in my team ladies, I have men. I'm not stereotyped. I support both equally. I provide structures to help them achieve what they seek to achieve, to help them achieve their job aspiration and family also. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I like the fact that you particularly pointed out that men have also helped you in the course of your career. So it doesn't feel as though, oh no, this is just a thing for women to hold hands and kumbaya. No, it is an actual call beyond just beyond just having conversations and knowing how every other person has been able to pull their own weight on their side of the world. It's also an advocacy for women whenever we find another person, not just women, but any other person you find in distress or needs help, or even needs a voice, be willing to lend it, because I mean, we are in those positions to be able to help for a better reason. And building off of that, I would also like to ask Tiliwa, what other people have inspired you in the course of your career, and how have you been able to inspire other people and also help on their journeys as well?
Okay, so technology, there are actually more men than women. So I've had more men, help me in my career. So even the encouragement to move to information security was as a result of a colleague, not a boss, someone I worked with, and it was relocating to Canada. And he mentioned, Tiwa, you can do this. I need you to take up my job when I go to Canada, because there was no other person in the team that was going to take up that job. And I was scared, because it's something, even though I have the theoretical knowledge and I also had training, it's not the same thing as having it to do it practically. But it was really encouraging. And it helped me to realize that the more you give to people, the happier you will be. Everyone knows that the happiness in giving than there is in receiving. So the more you give, the happier you will be. And I generally also give to people in my team, people around me. I actually love giving. I believe we should give a lot of knowledge, whatever it is and you could improve in your life, you should share with other people. So in information security, we have a shortage of resources. So the more people know about things they need to do to protect themselves, the better we will be in our careers and in our family lives. So I try really hard. People in my team, anyone could say that I spend a lot of time talking, probably more than actually doing any more work. Because if you could explain, if you pass some knowledge, people will change their ways of acting and behaving as a result of the knowledge they have been able to acquire, and they can change themselves and be better. And if everyone is better, then we are all better as a society. And at the point where we can reach that, if it's ever possible, even if it's just within our immediate space, then we could drive positive energy and be able to achieve much more, because we're better people. As a result of knowledge we've been able to pass around in our little groups.
Thank you very much for that. I just realized that we have about 8 more minutes to round this off. And so I'll be asking for parting gifts from our panelists. What is the one thing you would want every single person that has attended this panel discussion to take home, especially if they're looking forward to thriving in their careers and breaking the glass ceilings in whatever sphere of life that they are dealing in? So I'll start with Yobusa, Tiliwa, and then Ayodeji.
I would say, believe in yourself. There is nothing like failure until you say you have failed. Whatever aspirations you have, give it your best. Be disciplined. Try and get support. There are more people out there willing to support you than people out there that are trying to discourage or talk you down because you are failing. Ask for help and be ready to go for the best. Aspire and get what it is you have set your heart for.
Thank you so much. Tiliwa, please.
So we have these sessions every year, and we always have to spend one day recognizing women. I believe a day is not enough. I will not do anything to the plight of women or injustice in the world. I believe you spend every day recognizing women. The organization should take their time and take learnings. It's not enough to have this panel and just have people talk and listen. You could put it in your organizational policies that you would change your culture to recognize people. You shouldn't just recognize women alone. You should recognize everyone and treat everyone fairly, the way we expect to be treated. That is how we should treat other people. And we should spend every day doing this. We shouldn't spend one day recognizing women and going back to the way we used to be. So I'll have to draw back again to, well, the information security culture. We try to change people's behaviors. We don't tell you to, use a good password the first month and use terrible passwords the remaining 11 months of the year. You have to use it every time and try to change the narrative. So at the point where we are able to do that, change the narrative as organizations, change narrative as families, change the narratives as individuals, recognizing people, recognizing the capacity in people, recognizing your limitations and acting in spite of those limitations, recognizing what challenges you and letting it challenge you as against letting it be a challenge. Let it make you be better, note where you have the issues, reduce the impact of these challenges and change something in you. And if we do that really as one person to the other, then we'll get to a place where we can be manageably happy. Obviously, we might not have all the 100% happiness, but we would be successful in our different spheres.
Okay, thank you. And Ayodeji.
All right, so my final advice to the women out there, basically four things. Number one is that you are stronger than you can imagine. There's a line in Peak Milk advert that says it's in you. I believe that every woman, irrespective of your age or your stage in life, you have what it takes to succeed. Secondly, is that success is progressive. I believe that every woman should take individual responsibility we should take individual responsibility for our personal and professional development. Why? Because success is progressive. Success is a moving target. There are no arrival points. So you've got to keep moving, keep moving. Number three, you must set goals in order for you to score one. So you must have goals as far as every aspect of your life is concerned. And finally, I'd like to tell all the women, both those listening to us now and those that will be listening to the recording, that your dreams are valid and it will be a reality if you keep at it long enough. And on this note, I wish all the women that are listening to us today a happy International Women's Day once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll be opening this up again for any questions that we may have. Please use the Q&A chat box to ask the questions just before we round this up. If you have any questions, or if you want to ask your questions, just raise your hand and I would give you access to ask the question right now to the panelists just before we bring this to a close. And then while we're waiting for the question, I want to, okay, we have a question. Sorry. Hi, where did that go to? Adinike. Okay. Hi, Adinike, you raised your hand earlier. I wanted to be sure that was with regards to questions, if you had any. Okay. 2 minutes to go. I want to thank every single person. Thank you so much, Yobusa, for your time. Thank you, Tiliwa, for the insights. Thank you, Ayodeji, for taking our time to address every single person on this call. Thank you to all the participants for taking out time from your busy schedules to join us in having this important conversation. On this iconic day, I still reiterate to wish every single woman on this call and man a happy International Women's Day. Go home and wish the women in your life a happy International Women's Day. And I hope that today we choose this challenge to challenge whatever limitations it is that we are going through internally or externally and believe that anything is possible. One day, do you have a question? I can see your hand is up. Okay. Oh, I can also see a question here. Sorry. Peter, you're asking how can your wife invest? Please, you can call our toll-free line. It's available on all our social media platforms. You can also visit our website and we'll be more than happy to help. I'll be typing that out as a response so you can have a look. Also, I'll open this up for One Day. One Day's hand is up and wants to ask a question. Please go ahead.
Hi, hi. My name is Shegun Aboduri. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask the panelists a question. I think I would ask Ms. Hayodeji Oshideko this question. How can men, I think that this is a call to men, the International Women's Day, how can men continue to support women across the home front, their careers and businesses? It will be great to hear from the woman. I mean, we try from our own perspective, but from a woman's perspective, what would really make a difference for you as a woman coming from a man?
Thank you very much for that. Ayodeji, please.
All right, so in answering the question, I would like to state there's something I said earlier earlier today during the session, which is that the rise of a woman is not about the fall of a man. Neither is the rise of a man or men about the fall of women. The truth is that when we collaborate together, then we achieve much more. For women, because of the many roles that we have because of the many roles that we have and, wearing different hats, within all that we need to do. One of the things I believe that men can do to support women. So I know that, for example, in my own home, for example, my husband is also a busy professional who has other things that he's involved with. But it gives me as much support as possible. So for example, remember that I said that at some point, I will usually have to spend a lot of time, even my weekends, having to deal with issues that I could have outsourced. The issue of having to outsource certain things came up from him. So, as a man, like I said also about a woman taking care of your emotional and physical well-being. If the woman is not fine, trust me, you're not even going to enjoy her. She will be cranky. The children won't have an amazing time with her. So it's up to the couple or to couple really to agree on what works for them, something that makes it easy, for the woman to be in an environment where she can think, ideas can flow. So for me, like I said, it was helping to ensure that we could outsource a number of things, getting weekend help. It was also helping the children. I'm at work today, my children have exams in school. They are on online school, so he is at home. We had to structure, who is going to stay at home today to ensure that, everything is in place and the children are not stranded. So these and a number of things. And there's something else I also like to state. So women and men, we do have our love languages. There are some things that you can do that just trips a woman. It can be acts of service. I have like 10 different chores. I'm also supposed to be trading, for example, say between 9:30 and 2:30, I'm trading every day. At that point, I don't need any form of distraction from a child. So if I have a husband, he would have to help out during that period, So it's all about seeing how you can help ease the burden on the woman, basically.
Mr. Shegun, I hope that addresses your question.
In detail. Thank you.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you for that.
I don't know if I could add to what Ayodeji mentioned. It's very important for you to know the very thin knowledge. It's very key. It says you should deal with your woman according to knowledge. So, and that is the same thing when we are trying to make decisions, really. We start by knowing what the challenges are. And it takes a lot of humility to be able to know someone. You have to accept, first of all, that you do not know. You have to accept that this is a sphere of not known and learn what this person wants. Even at the place of work, if you have women in your team, you recognize that at certain times in the month, for example, a woman's psychology might be off. And if you know that, then you know how to deal with it. But if you do not know that, you are unable to deal with it and you're lost. So learn more, be humble to, gain more knowledge and act according to that knowledge. I think that would.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much
much.
for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Peter, I have sent you our toll-free line, so you can call the number. If you have a look right now at the chat box, you'd realize that it's been responded to. And so I believe we no longer have questions, and besides, our time is fast spent. Thank you so much once again to everybody on this call. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the insights. And this is the Investment One Group wishing every single person, and women specifically, a happy International Women's Day. Enjoy the rest of your day.